Have you ever sat at home watching the Y-Files and wondered, spooky things happen when the camera's not rolling behind the scenes? Well, actually, sometimes they do, as you'll discover in today's programme. These are the team that bring you the Y-Files, true stories of the paranormal, the supernatural, and the seriously weird. But do things ever go a little strange when we're filming this programme? Little supernatural things happen when the cameras aren't rolling. Well, actually, they do, and pretty much all of the team members have had at least one strange experience. And these are their stories. Series producer Patricia Bush has been with the show since it first started. This incident happened in early 1996.
We were shooting stories at a place called the Old Round Inn in Gloucestershire, and it is a place that is very spooky to begin with. It's not a place that you want to visit more than once in your life. And in fact, after going there once, I refused to go back the second time when they did a follow-up story. The owner of the house claims to be possessed by both incubuses and succubuses, which are sort of sexual ghosts. And there were two particular incidences that happened there. One was that for a particular shot, he borrowed a sweater of mine, and the stench that was left on that sweater after he wore it for less than 30 seconds was so bad that we shot it out of the crew car on the way home because we just could not stand the smell. It was completely and utterly inhuman smell. The second thing that happened there was that I was freezing cold the whole day, and no matter how much I tried to find a warm spot somewhere in the building, on the premises, there wasn't any. It was warmer outside than it was inside, and that was in the middle of January. And he had a fire going in the lounge, and I thought, well, I'll just go stand in front of the fire. You had to cross past a couple of graves that had been dug up in the middle of the lounge to get to this fireplace, and that spot was excruciatingly cold. And then standing directly in front of the fireplace, not a foot away from the fireplace, was still freezing cold. And in fact, I had to stick my hands and my foot right over the flames in order to get any heat off of them whatsoever. I've never been to a place like it before in my life, and never really want to go back to a place anything like it again, ever.
Patricia may have felt an inhuman presence, but researcher Vicky Clark actually saw something on location in the summer of 1998.
I suppose the spookiest experience I've had in the Y-Files is when we were doing a drama piece up in West London's church, and it was just getting dusk, so it was getting quite dark outside, and everyone else was packing up the stuff, and someone had realised that they'd left something behind, so I was told to go back inside and get it. So I went inside, and they only had like slightly dim lights on, and I was just grabbing whatever was left behind, and I turned round, and at the top of the back of the church there was some sort of like a platform, and at the back of the platform this sort of figure sort of didn't glide, it just sort of walked across the actual the back of it. I thought it was a bit strange, and I knew that there was a staircase at the back of it, but I mean, everyone else I knew was outside. I went back outside to give the piece of equipment to the director, and I mentioned to him that I saw this figure go across the balcony, and he said, well, everyone else is in the car, so there's no one else in there. So he went back in there to double check that no one else had maybe got in while we were packing up the stuff. And he went in, came out, and he said, no, there's no one there. So I thought it was a ghost, and I don't know.
Segment producer Jessica Healy has only been on the programme for a short while, but has already had her first taste of the paranormal.
A few weeks ago, we went to a pub, and we've done a lot of haunted pub stories, but this particular one was quite intriguing and special. We went up there because a handprint kept appearing on a window, and I had a sort of image of it being a handprint that appeared when it was steamed up, in cold weather. And my immediate thought was kids playing around, somebody playing a trick on the pub. That wasn't the scenario at all. There was a pane of glass that had a handprint on it. It almost was indented in the glass in a way.
Segment producer Gemma Hurley had an experience that she never believed would be possible.
I was asked to do an experiment whereby I broke a plank of wood that was about 2 inches thick with my bare hand, and I thought, I'm never going to be able to do this, it's impossible. So I spent half an hour getting myself into the right state of mind, breathing exercises, concentration, and I then looked at this plank of wood, brought my hand down and barely touched the plank of wood, and it split in half. I was absolutely amazed. I've never been so surprised. And so I truly believe that there is a power the mind has which goes beyond your physical body. And now I'd like to have a go walking over hot coals. So that's my next plan.
And then there have been a couple of incidents that have been corroborated as in this next story, with the series producer and myself.
We were shooting links in a graveyard, and out of the corner of our eyes, the cameraman, myself, and Dave Barrett all saw a shadow go past us to one side quite distinctly.
It was pitch black. I just started to do a link to the camera, and I felt something physically walk past me. Something big. I even heard the grass rustle. It was literally inches away from my face, but I couldn't see anything.
And we started wandering around the graveyard trying to find anyone or anything that could be associated with this shadow, and found absolutely nothing. Not a cat, not a person, nothing.
And it was a strange experience. Now, our cameraman at the time, Lee, also saw a dark shape then moving across the churchyard, and he immediately turned on his pag light, which is a very small but very powerful light. Literally within a second, he turned it on. There was nothing there. The place was empty. It was very frightening, and the weird thing about it is that afterwards we discovered, yeah, you guessed it, the churchyard is haunted. We come across a lot of mediums and psychics when we film pieces for the programme, and it doesn't matter how sceptical you are, there will always be something that will leave you questioning your scepticism, as one segment producer and cameraman found out.
But we went to do this story in Northampton, and, you know, we were just getting the kit out, really sort of boring, you know, carrying the kit in from the car.
And I was just chatting with Rebecca, who was the producer on that particular story, and I was just asking her if she'd moved into her new house yet, because I knew that move was imminent. And Natalie, who was the psychic, suddenly started talking to Rebecca, and she said, I've just got this very strange feeling about your about the electrical wiring in your house.
And I just went, weird. And she said, the kitchen light doesn't work, and the sitting room lights don't work, and there's, you know, some dodgy wiring. It looks as if the guy has actually done it himself. And I said, yeah, it's true, because we've been trying the light switches and we think the bulbs are just gone. But actually, you know, we tried bulbs in them and they hadn't worked. So there is something dodgy with the wiring. And she also mentioned the shower doors, metal shower doors.
That there's a problem with the, you have metal doors around your shower, and Rebecca said, yes, we do. And Natalie said, well, I think there's a real potential problem with that. The wiring has not been done properly. It's been a sort of bodged job by some DIY chap. And Natalie had never met Rebecca before, but everything she said about that was absolutely true. And of course, Rebecca then frantically tried to get hold of an electrician.
If she was faking it, how many showers have shower doors? Hardly any. Mostly, you know, a ropey old curtain. But, you know, it really did amaze me, and I went straight off, got the mobile, dialed the electrician, because, you know, it's nerve-wracking to think that, you know, we could electrocute ourselves or much worse.
And even the team's most recent recruit has been privy to a mysterious happening.
I'm quite a sceptic myself, but we have actually only been with a week, a couple of sort of interesting incidents that at the time no one could actually explain, sort of working on the programme. And one of these was actually in a pub called the Anchor Tap in Bermondsey. We were there, the presenter of the programme was there, as was a psychic, for no reason. Just there was I think it was a bar tab sort of thing from behind the bar, a big metal thing, came crashing down to the floor, making a lot of noise. No reason why it should have actually fallen off. It's complete, hasn't really happened before, so what they said in the pub anyway. And there was just no real explanation for it.
So there you have it, some of the true stories of things that have happened to the crew behind the scenes here at the Y-Files. And I bet you're glad that you're sitting there and not here.